So at this moment in time, one of the reasons why I'm really excited and hopeful for people to read my book is that we see innovation as this category and as a set of practices that are really hard. It's really hard to put your finger on why hacker spaces and engineering departments and design seem to reproduce inclusion for certain kinds of people and seem to regularly keep out other kinds of people, even while it's putatively open to all ideas. Let's brainstorm. Like, difference and diversity is good. It makes for better creativity. So I think that this is a conversation that people in different disciplines need to be having, people in different institutions need to be having, and my book tries to lay out in those micro details of in the design studio, at the design festival, in educational spaces, in policy making, how is this thing that's supposed to include everyone's creativity and make it into value, how is it also subtly and durably keeping certain kinds of people or keeping certain kinds of change-making practices out. And so if we could see more clearly what is being reproduced when we talk about innovation, then I think people from a lot of different walks of life can also more clearly kind of inoculate themselves and ourselves to developing the kinds of counter practices and counter networks that can produce a more durable form of like equity and justice in the world. That's really ambitious, but this is a teeny tiny kind of contribution to seeing what we need to do more clearly by not being distracted by what we shouldn't be doing. So I'm hoping that this book is written in a way that doesn't speak only to scholars, but also speaks to people who have worked in places where innovation is being privileged, whether they're working as the kinds of people who are privileged in those spaces, designers and engineers, or they're working as community managers, customer support workers, people who are considered less valuable. But because I think one of the ways that innovation works is that we're called upon as people to imagine what our unique selling points are to society, but in a form that's economically legible. And in some cases also in a form that's not only economically legible and authentic to us, but can also create some kind of social change that manages other people. There's something a little bit anti-democratic about the entrepreneurial innovation imaginary. So I'm hoping that people can come to this book like as workers, as citizens, as nonprofit activists, as well as people who are trying to analyze how labor and politics come together through media technologies. Because this is a conversation that we're seeing as the United States reconsiders Silicon Valley, as people in India are debating universal ID systems and the ways that private middle-class entrepreneurs are being asked to reimagine welfare, as those UID efforts are being disseminated around the world through World Bank and Gates Foundation. We have to ask serious questions about what kinds of political power structures we're setting up when we're talking about entrepreneurs changing the world. I know some of the designers at the firm that I studied actually have read it, and they had their own they had their own politics, and this is in conversation with their politics. So I'm hoping that it's not going to be like a trade paperback kind of book, but I know that the stories connect. Like, people recognize, they're like, oh, you're like naming this thing that I experienced, and I didn't know other people were experiencing it too, and like that's why writing a book that shares something from a specific place across can be politically powerful, I hope.